We can dance if you want to. We can leave your friends behind. Because your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine.
Kill it with fire!
Hello, people.
Are we live?
We're live, I think. Unless
No,
there's...
we're not allowed to be live. That's not... No. We're not supposed to start on time. This is our whole thing. Technical difficulties, not starting on time. Thought you knew this already.
Well, the stream is still young. We at least started on time. Maybe there'll be a technical difficulty and you can see Chan's beautiful face with the amount of shame I have on the stream for the technical difficulties.
I guess that's fair.
But maybe you won't see Chan's beautiful face and we'll actually have a decent stream, but I swear to God, if you just jinxed us, I will find a antivirus and cure of you.
Yeah, well, I'm not a virus, so that doesn't work.
What's the definition of a virus?
Yeah, but I don't do that.
You sure?
Yes.
Positive. Because
Yes.
I could point to a Wednesday stream that says a lot of things that would be that of a virus, the spreading and all of that.
Listen, I had nothing to do with that.
You spread it.
I warned you.
You spread it.
I warned you what we were doing, and you still showed up.
But that doesn't mean you're not spreading the virus.
I wouldn't call him a virus. A virus implicates that he can be beaten or destroyed by a vaccine. I would call him a plague.
Well, wouldn't the vaccine be considered the facts? I mean, I do have a timeline that would kind of destroy everything that I've been working on.
Well, if you could destroy everything he's working on, I would be, appreciative.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Are you saying you did not enjoy listening to Myron and his explanations about women?
I'm not saying I enjoyed or did not enjoy that. I will say I was enjoying looking at the pretty stars.
Well, we are here on a Friday, so I guess we have a show we're supposed to do.
Yes. And as it is a new month and all of that goodies two-shoe stuff, if you don't want to see these ads and stuff, and you have a nice, lovely Amazon Prime, you got a free subscription you can throw on in there. Also, if you guys wanted to do bits, those still also exist. I finally got the, I can't think of the word now. First place, second place, third place. I can't think of what that's called anymore. English is not my first language.
Competition?
Anyways, if you want to be... Scoreboard! I have the scoreboard up if you guys want to. I don't know if anybody could beat any of those scores that's currently up there, but hey, those do exist as well. I see we have a Man Squash, a Psycho, an Ishtar, a Bot, a Moist Carpet, and a Demon in chat.
Well, Moist Carpet brought up something. Their first language is sarcasm. I actually am fluent in 5 languages.
My first language is ASL, American Sign Language, because I am deaf.
My languages are English, bad English, sarcasm, snark, and red pill.
You can speak red pill? Somebody can speak red.
Fluently.
Oh my god, then you might have fun today. Oh, Ishtar, just to let you know, I will be getting revenge on your husband for what he did to us Wednesday.
I, again, want to point out that it was voluntary. I wasn't forcing either of you to be there.
And you watching these TikToks is still also voluntary. I am not forcing you to be here.
You have threatened to send an antivirus at me.
Yeah, I swear, that's just our love language. I try to be a dominant over you. You push me and put me in my place and yell at me and tell me how I need to eat.
I feel like I picked up a pet somewhere and I didn't know how I got them.
I'm not a pet.
All right, do we want to do Reddit first this time or do we want to do TikToks?
Usually Reddit goes first.
All right. I have a slew of things to go for.
I'm scared.
Let's see.
Confirm. She is a cat. So, am I now Antwon's and Ishtar's pet cat? Is that what's going on?
I mean, if you want, listen. I expect a lot of things from my pet. Just saying.
I want to say oh kinky, but at the same time I want to say oh scary.
Oh no! One of my posts got removed by moderators.
I hate when that happened. Like 3 of the TikToks we were going to watch is gone. One of them was removed.
All right, so I got one from one of your newest favorite subreddits.
I'm scared.
Not How Girls Work.
Oh god.
So this one says it was saw this in my group for expecting mothers. Not sure if it fits.
Oh god. My dragon's already running away. This is like I'm out.
I just need to vent or something. Something. My husband and I were having issues in our marriage, and he basically told me that if I want flowers or anything, I need to be making him lunch for work or pleasing him more sexually. So I did just that. I started doing more for him as a person. Mind you, I have a 5-year-old who's biologically not my son. I just raise him. He's my stepson. A 1-year-old, a puppy, and I'm 29 weeks pregnant. I'm also super anemic, so I'm tired all the time. We got the puppy because he wanted it, and now I'm the one stuck taking care of her. She just doesn't listen and is literally just causing me more stress by constantly chewing things up, peeing on everything, and pooping everywhere. But my husband feels like it's my responsibility to keep the house clean and to take care of the kids and the dog and everything else. He helps everyone all week. For example, this week he's been helping his uncle build a carport. So meanwhile, I'm doing all the childcare, housework, and puppy care on top of working a full-time job. Thankfully, I get to take my kids to work with me because I work for my family. And all the appointments with specialists for this pregnancy and my 1-year-old because she has breathing spells. I've tried talking. That's a lot. Like, just pausing. That's a lot.
Keep going.
I've tried.
I have a lot that I want to say afterwards. Just keep going.
All right. I've tried talking to him. I've stepped up more on my end. And I just don't know what else to do anymore. I literally feel like I'm doing this whole thing alone. And then he comes home and expects me to want to have sex with him after I just Wait, what happened? After I just had a full plate all day long. I just don't know what to do anymore. I'm at a loss, and I'm so emotionally drained. He bought me flowers one time in the last 6 months and expects that to be good. And I probably won't get anything else until my birthday, if even that, because this whole last year he's done absolutely nothing for any special days like my birthday, Christmas, Valentine's Day, or Mother's Day. I just feel so unappreciated and undervalued. It's not even about the gifts, it's more so about the meaning behind them that matter to me. Like he saw something and thought of me, so he bought it, or whatever. Sorry it's such a long post, and I'll probably delete it, but I just don't know what to do or how to feel anymore.
Okay, first I'm gonna bring up Wednesday. Remember how on Wednesday's stream, me and Ishtar was talking about single moms who are married? This is exactly what we were talking about. She's married, but she's being treated as a single mom. It's all up to her. Everything is up to her. Now, I would like to point out in 1993, women gained the legal protection against marital rape. In 1970s, no, 1969, women gained the right to initiate divorce. I think those are two nice, lovely laws and rights she has that recently was given to her, like within the last 100 years, she should utilize.
Oh, I definitely think she should divorce his ass. I mean, if he's not like, it's not just for this pregnancy.
Yeah,
I can
no.
guarantee this has been going on for a while. There are times that
point out that 2017, the hashtag Me Too movement. I'm betting if you look under that hashtag, you'll find some more women that knows exactly how you feel and will have a support group. Just
I
saying.
don't know if he deserves to be Me Too'd. I don't see him as.
I'm just saying there's probably some girls there that can be a good support if she needs friends, because he kind of sounds like he's a controlling type, which probably means she doesn't have friends. Just saying. She needs some friends. She needs some friends that could be support.
She needs girl. This is one of those times I'm like, go get some girl power. You need it.
Hence the reason why I threw the Me Too movement, because you'll find a lot of girls that will support other girls getting out of bad marriages and whatnot through that hashtag. It's no longer just about the sexual assault essays and stuff like that. It's became a hell of a lot more. Ishtar, there's a bot.
Remember, we're not allowed to touch buttons.
I know, that's why I said Ishtar.
All right, just
I don't want to get
throwing
yelled at.
that out there.
She scares me.
Last time I touched buttons, I shut down the entire chat.
And last time I touched it, I made it go in slow-mo, and she got all mad. Anyways.
All right, I have another one for you that I think you're going to enjoy.
I'm head mod for a reason. Yes, Ishtar. Yes, you are.
So this one is, am I the asshole?
Okay.
Am I the asshole for demanding that my niece or her parents pay me back for the hundreds of dollars of perfume she stole from me?
What?
Now, there is an editor's note right at the beginning. It says, I'm not involving the police, suing anyone, etc. Please don't try to argue with me about this or convince me why I should.
Ishtar said, and solely because neither of you can be trusted with buttons.
I can be trusted with buttons. It's just usually attached to Ishtar.
Well, Matt came out all of a sudden.
All right. I have a perfume collection that I started when I was a teenager, slinging burritos at my first job. I have over 400 bottles at this point. Someone has a problem.
Uh,
Who
uh,
needs 400 bottles of perfume?
Yeah, it's definitely a collection, but 400? Where the hell do you get the room for all of that?
Maybe she's talking to Diddy because he had room for thousands of bottles of baby oil.
Oh,
I take great pride in my collection and I use it. I'm also happy to give people samples, she said, decants, samples of most of my bottles. Let them sample a spray or two, give some bottles as gifts, etc. What I have a huge fucking issue with is my 17-year-old niece coming into my home under the guise of walking my dog, sampling bottles on her own and selling the samples to her little friends. She thinks that because I have so many bottles, I wouldn't notice some missing or getting massive dents in them. Well, little Miss Entrepreneur failed to realize that her private Instagram wasn't friends only or whatever, and I saw each and every fucking story with each price and sample she had.
oh,
I tallied that shit up and got a pretty good estimate based on cost per ounce. Thankfully, she mostly picked the TikTok famous perfumes like Bianco Latte and Escapade Gourmand. Those are dumb names, but all right. And didn't go for the most rare niche perfumes. She did snatch an entire 2.5 ounce bottle of Baccarat Rogue, or Rouge, depending on how you want to say it, though, which runs $300 plus at most retail. Who's paying $300 for perfume?
me.
You're for a 2.5 ounce bottle.
I don't know how much this one that's in my hand is. It's Versace, and it smells good, and I love it.
As well as full bottles of perfumes you can get at Sephora, like Marc Jacobs Daisy, Burberry Her Elixir, Flower Bomb, etc. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken.
Yeah,
Price
like what Ishtar said, the brands and qualities all about the cost, and 2.5 ounces can last a very long time.
All right. It's $300. You can. Do you know what you could do with $300+?
Yeah, but I decided to choose to buy me some Versace perfume, and it smells really, really good, and I do not regret at all. It smells nummy. My perfume collection isn't bigger because perfume is expensive. Yeah, I only have 2 bottles. One's Versace, and the other one is Gucci, and the Versace one costs $300 something, and I don't regret it.
Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, price estimate, and handed it off to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back in full. And of course, her fucking sneaky little ass is never allowed in my home again. My sister got super pissy with me, going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes, etc. I said, yes, kids make mistakes. And this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers.
Oh no.
Their argument is that now the money she was going to use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. She's lucky that I have no interest in involving the police, small claims, or any of that. But am I the asshole because she is a teenager?
No. Teenagers can go to jail and stuff for crimes, and they should know right from wrong by that time.
Well, she's 17. Of course she knows right from wrong. She was using that as a way to make money for her car. She said it herself at the bottom. Of course she needs to pay her back. She didn't ask. She just stole it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and she was old enough to know she was stealing.
Yeah, she's almost an adult. Let's see here. In the last ones, did we get anything on here? Controlling family, that would go with the asshole, the first one.
The husband, yes.
And am I the asshole for setting boundaries? It's the one we just did.
That's not boundaries, though. That's not pressing charges.
I mean, it could also still be boundaries because her boundaries was that she had to be there asked and all of this, and the 17-year-old was deciding not to and also selling it. She crossed a lot of boundaries.
I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll let you keep it.
But I think those are
All
the
right,
only ones.
So this is a new one, and I want to say that Ishtar gave it to me.
Okay.
It is from r/pointless stories.
Okay.
I unknowingly ruined a marriage with my artwork. Which I think is fitting because you are an artist.
Yeah.
So you may be able to claim this one day, depending on what your art is.
Oh.
6 years ago, I got an art commission request from a client. Let's call her Blue, asking me to draw hers and her boyfriend's, let's call him Green, player characters from an MMO game doing cute couple things. I accepted. I finished the artwork and Blue loved it. I post the art online, as I usually do, and didn't think much of it. That art commission eventually got buried into the depths of my online gallery, covered up by 6 years of more commissions, projects, and personal pieces. Fast forward to 2024. Suddenly, last month, I get a comment on that art piece from a blank account accusing Blue of being a cheater/homewrecker. Because the account had no posts and a generic name, I just figured it was someone trolling with a sock puppet, deleted the comment, blocked the account, and moved on with my life. Then today, I received an odd DM from a completely different account. It was also blank, and the stats said it was created 15 minutes before the DM landed in my inbox. This new account explained he was Green, and he had an affair with Blue. Green is married. He confessed the affair to his wife and was trying to fix things. But that art commission from 6 years ago was bothering her, and he requested I remove that piece from the internet. Here's the
No.
weird part. Here's the weird part. Blue commissioned me again earlier this year for a second art piece featuring the same two MMO characters. Green, and likely his wife, seemed to be unaware of this, because there was no ask about removing the second piece. I did post the second piece as well, on the same website as I did the first. Green only asked me to remove the first piece, which is buried in 6 years of posts. It's puzzling to me how they were able to find that one, but not the most recent second one. As a note, I don't know any of these people in real life. They're just random internet strangers to me. I've just been minding my own damn business for 6 years and suddenly I had tea land right in my lap. And if the guy who sent me that DM happens to read this, not deleting the art. Sorry, I'm not the one who cheated.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
So I know why they found the art piece from 6 years ago, because he had it saved. He
Mhm.
probably had it saved and he had a link to it saved. So that's how they were able to find it. It's actually really simple. As for the newer piece, well, they're not looking for it because, well, they're supposedly working things out together. So, I mean, so no, he's not looking for it. Let's see.
I side with the artist on this first and foremost.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would not delete any of that shit. That was her hard or his hard work, and fuckhead cheated. That's on fuckhead, not blue.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. I have a nice guy post and I have a nice girl post.
Okay,
Which one do you want first?
chat. Which one do you want first? Nice guy 1, nice girl 2. You pick. This isn't my. I don't run the ship. You're the captain, not me. I'm just here.
That's giving them way too much credit.
I mean, they have sound.
See,
stuff they
Psycho
can
wants
use.
tacos. That's not even part of the choices.
He's blind. He probably ran into something. God only knows.
I kind of want tacos too.
When do you not?
Tacos are amazing. They're always good.
She can't handle buttons, and now she wants to. No, even when I go to post in all the advertisement thingies I have, it says that chat gets to run the ship. So, nah. Tacos are the answer to everything. Nice guy, nice girl-ish. Nice guys 1, nice girls 2. Don't.
Oh, she went mom mode on you. You're in trouble now.
1. I'm not joking. Psycho said 1. You guys have sounds you guys can do. Like this one. There's many of them.
Meow meow.
All right. So the two of them said 1. We're going to go with 1.
Yep.
This is titled One of the Most Loving People You Will Ever Meet. So,
No strawberries in this house. Okay. That's
So-
fair.
nice guy says, hey, this is a DM. Hey, I was thinking, I think now is a perfect time to go on a random night adventure together. No response. Hey, star for eyes emoji. I think we should just drive right into each other's lives and arms. It's too short. Life, that is. Person responds, I appreciate the offer, but I am not interested in pursuing anything romantic with you and find it a bit off-putting that we haven't even spoken in years and you're ready to jump on it. Nice guy. Life is realizing in 10 more years that maybe I should have just taken a leap of faith instead of just thinking you know it all and assume with your guard up your entire life. Sure thing. Pardon me, but jumping on it was never the intent. Don't even know what that means. God forbid you found somebody that has a brain and the courage to say what they want when pursuing a woman. I find it offsetting that people don't understand and appreciate my greatness. That won't stop me, though. One of the most loving people you will ever meet. You were never at my door with an opportunity, but I sure as heck was at yours with one. God damn. So it's your loss, and that's okay.
You're not a hat. Stop it, Toothless.
There's still more.
Oh God, I'm scared.
She responds, you don't know anything about me or my personal life, so don't assume my reasons for lack of interest in your pursuit. Have you considered it might be a little strange and creepy that a guy I knew in high school and haven't seen in at least a decade is messaging me about drive into each other's lives and arms. As a woman who is not trying to end up on a dateline, yes, I will continue to have my guard up when someone creeps me out. Continuing.
Oh God. There's
Nice
more.
guy. There's more. This is the last image, but there's more. Nice guy. Okay, cool. Because I'm sure I would be walking this earth free if I was some sick psychopath maniac. I don't need somebody that would be as dramatic and overthinking as you, anyways. So please pretend like it never happened. I would prefer a genuine, loving individual, not some sociopath who can't even appreciate a very high quality person. I'm looking for a
is so real right now.
I am looking for a mother, a real woman who is ready to start a family. Good luck with your train of thought. There's a response. He says, "Get over yourself, Lamau. This is totally going on r/nice guys."
The projection is real. She's a smart girl, and
Yes, very smart, because she would have ended up on Dateline, because she would have been trapped in his basement and forced to give birth to all of his children.
And he may be looking for a mother, but not just a mother for his children, but a mother for him. Because I'm willing to bet the only thing he provides to the table is somewhat of a paycheck.
If that. But I can guarantee. See, as I said, my fifth language is red pill. That last bit was he's a high value male, and women should be swooning over the fact that he is even looking in their direction.
I'm glad most of these creepy guys think that a girl owning a reptile means they are one with the devil.
All right, so the last one is r/nice girls. The title. She cheated on me, then proceeds to send me all of this. Now there's a little caption, says, "Any and all advice is appreciated." Images 1 and 2 are about 2 days after I caught her cheating, sending pics and freaky messages to another dude on Snapchat. She ended up unadding me on Snapchat and then texting my number directly. Images 3 and 4 were earlier today, the 26th of September 2024. I haven't responded nor talked to her since Sunday, September 22nd. Here we go. First off, I know you're not going to open my message right away, and it might take time before you even want to open any of my messages and read anything at all. I'm not here to clear my name or to try to fix or amend something that has been broken for such a long time. I have absolutely no excuse and no words to say I'm sorry. Honestly, that word means nothing compared to the actions. Something that I've been lacking for a while now, and you asked me to fix it a couple of times. I'm not going to sit around for days beating myself up wanting to talk to you, knowing that I have broken the last of us. I know you're in anger, and sadness, and nothing I say will repair any of that. I have failed you over and over again in many ways, and I thought she wasn't going to talk about saying I'm sorry, because that's what this whole thing is. I have failed you emotionally. I have failed you physically. I have failed you with my actions, and I know that. I'm not going to sit around to justify myself in any way, as I have been beating myself up already. And I can't find a way to repair myself but to drink my sadness away. So, blank, my friend, my love, I'll do the honor and break all this and walk away. I know your feelings might be mixed. You will hate me, but love me at the same time. It makes no sense at all, I know. I would love to hug you and apologize, but that won't be possible anytime soon. And you need healing. Thank you for being a great man when I most needed you. And thank you for being strong for me when I did fail. I'm signing out of your life for good. Maybe one day we could talk again, or even close the deal correctly. But for now, I'll give you time, space, and healing. By the end of Sunday, I no longer be around. Stay safe.
I want to say it's a validation post, but I'm pretty
Oh no, 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 she's validating everything she did.
so
She
validation
is
post.
she is saying unequivocally, I know I screwed up. I'm not going to apologize for it, but I'm going to speak to you like I'm the main character of some bloody anime, so you feel like shit.
I would say also
You
just hear me out, but she never actually said the words just hear me out.
We have two more images.
Oh god.
Please let me talk to you. I'm desperate. Please. Blank, please. I just need 1 minute of you time. Please, E. I'm sorry. Ooh, she said it. But I need to hear your voice one last time. I'm going insane. Blank. Okay, well, I can't do anything else. I understand. Thanks, anyways. I did love you, but I ficked your lobe. I don't know what that means, but it makes it sound really, really dirty.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm okay with this anger. This hurts more than my dad dying. This feels the same way. I feel like part of me died. Blank. I'm sorry. Sorry. You are an amazing man, and I do not deserve you once single, but I literally feel like ending my life for you. My sadness is too much. Blank. Okay, bye. I get it. I'm sorry for my failure. I'm a bitch, and I deserve it. I understand. You did not deserve any of this. I love you. Bye.
Um, I feel gaslighting is in there, but at the same time, I don't. That was a lot. That was a lot. Somebody
Oh, she
needs
was.
therapy. Oh, Op needs therapy.
Well, it's not.
I- Antwon, Marco, Marco. Well, we're alone. Hi, chat. How are you? Antwon ran away. And Gizmo saying hi. There it is. Hi, Gizmo. JFC, he glitched again. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, I'm alone. He needs to but he ignored me when I told him to do it. Something about. I'm sure he'll be back. And I mean, at the beginning of the stream, he did jinx us. That he did. He did say that there was. That we started on time and that technical difficulties was our thing. And so he kind of jinxed us. So yeah. Are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yay, you're back.
It said my microphone got disconnected. I unmuted, and you all couldn't hear me still. So I'll start it over.
You like froze. You went from talk to literally frozen.
Well, literally frozen is bad.
So we had our technical difficulties, and you didn't get to see Pretty Chan because it wasn't that kind of technical difficulty.
So what I was saying is, it's not the original poster that needs therapy.
Yeah, I wish.
He's receiving all of this.
Oh, I know. That's why I wish it didn't say Op needs therapy, just because she needs therapy.
What she needs is not to be a cheating bitch.
That too.
Like the whole first post was her acting like she's the main character, and I know I screwed up, but one day we'll talk about things and you will forgive me and it'll all be great again. And the second one, I think she got drunk and realized she fucked up and just started texting him.
Mm-hmm. So Chad is bringing up Christmas.
Why are they bringing up Christmas? What's wrong with Christmas?
Mariah Carey is literally frozen, but not for long. Christmas
Oh,
season
yes.
is coming.
You know what I appreciate about Mariah Carey? She embraces the meme of her only coming around during Christmas season.
Yeah.
Like last year, she did a whole Christmas is coming kind of thing where she put this together. It was her being unfrozen from a block of ice.
Yeah.
And like the whole beginning of it was like alarms were going off and things like that she was showing up. I love it. She embraces the meme, and I'm a fan of it just for that.
You ready for the TikToks?
Oh, do I really have to? I thought I was going to scare you away with all the Reddits, but it didn't work. All right, let's do this.
First one.
I think my boyfriend forgot I went to the gym with him.
Baby?
Where are you?
I'm coming home. I'm not far away. On the way.
Did you forget something?
No, I got everything. I just got the groceries. I bought milk, I bought bananas, and I bought your munchies. I'll see you soon. Okay?
Do you remember I went to gym with you?
Oh, no.
Come back now!
I'm so sorry. I'm on my way. Wait for me. 2 minutes. Baby, I'm sorry. Baby, I'm sorry.
I think my boyfriend...
That's fair.
I mean, the background should have gave it away that he forgot her at the gym too.
It's listen, he was in the doghouse for a while. But yes, as Ishtar said, at least he remembered her munchies because he's going to need them to fend her off.
Yes. Yes, at least he remembered that. It might help ease the blow. Next.
Boyfriend forgot I went...
We live in a world where a man has to be financially stable just to date a broke woman.
I hate guys so much. Now it's a problem. Men are the ones that created the social construct. Because you have to realize women didn't have a lot of rights back then. Women didn't have a right to vote. Women were also excluded from a lot of jobs unless they were a singer, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, or even a writer. So they were barely able to bring anything home because of the way that you guys set the system up. The way you guys have the system set up for women is that they're supposed to be cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids if you have any kids, and dealing with your bullshit while you go to work and make the bread. Now that women has fought for their rights and choose to work in the profession they so desire, for them to make more money for themselves and take care of themselves, it's now a problem to you. Now it's a problem if they're broke. But if they work a job and they make money, if not more money than you do, then you don't want to date them. Because you feel like you're not able to provide what they can get for themselves. And now they're able to make their own money, you have less control. What do you guys really want? All the guys might as well just date each other. You have the same ideas and want the same things. Might as well.
We live in a world...
She's not...
That was a very gay man.
He is not wrong. One, his contacts were amazing because his eyes were piercing. Two, I'm pretty sure we could have built an entire mausoleum on that flat top without losing anything. Like, he's not wrong about what he said at all. Not at all. All of that was true. And you could probably send this to Myron and he'll say how stupid it is that a gay man is talking about and all of that. And I just, again, not wrong. What was he wearing? Did he kill a
World where a
leopard?
man has to be financially stable.
You guys had the system set up.
He killed a leopard. Why did he killed and skinned a leopard? Look, I know Zoocosis just came out. I know it's a scary game, everyone, but there's no leopards in the game. There was no need for the local zoo shoot the leopard in the face and then take its skin. It's rude. Look at his hair. It's you could build. You could put a glass of water on that.
So
And it
you're
would not
saying
fall
he
over.
is a very beautiful man.
Oh, he definitely uses a lot of skin care for that face of his. Although the pencil, not really there, mustache needs to go. You either have it or you don't. If it's not there, get rid of it.
Next.
Giant Yeti cooler. You couldn't do that to any normal truck. Giant Yeti.
Can we watch that again? I want to watch that again.
Giant Yeti cooler. You couldn't do that to any normal truck.
That's not even a truck. That's an SUV.
I love how
You didn't even throw the cooler that hard. Next time, launch it at it.
He like gently tossed it, like if I was to throw Toothless back into her tank, yeah. Where the other dude's like full send.
So I know chat can't see it on screen, but I can see the comments. Ice Queen is the first comment there. It says, proceeds to gently caress the truck with the cooler. Yes. Listen, I live in the Pacific Northwest with Ishtar. People are buying these stupid, ugly ass trucks. They're becoming more common on the road. These things are awful looking. Absolutely awful looking.
The dude might as well have placed the cooler on the truck with how much force he put into that throw.
Yes.
Not wrong, boys. Next.
Just to let you know, an audiologist is not going to give hearing aids to a hearing person. An audiologist is not going to fit a hearing person for hearing aid molds. An audiologist is not going to fake a deaf audiogram for a hearing person. Thank you.
You know, this is one trend that I don't actually understand. The amount of people that thinks that it's okay to claim somebody's not deaf or disabled or whatever. I'm somebody that's deaf, and I don't wear hearing aids because things inside my ears bug the shit out of me, and I'm already too deaf for most of them to actually work anyways. And I'm not going to go get a cochlear implant because I don't want surgery done to my brain. I already have a high migraine issue anyways, and cochlear implants have been known to increase that problem. And this lovely little thing of, oh, you're not deaf. It's absolutely annoying.
So, all right. So what I'm reading is hearing people shouldn't get hearing aids because I am not deaf and you don't have funny talk and weird talk.
Mm-hmm.
You are not deaf. God will punish you for lying. It is true. I am ASL. You are devil. God damn. So it's TikTok.
This one,
I know you know about these.
yeah, but this doesn't just happen on TikTok. It happens all over social media and in person, and it's annoying.
Well, what I was going to say is on TikTok, there's a huge, huge incentive for people to start faking disorders because they get promotion for it. You put a bunch of hashtags in there, and you get a bunch of people who look at it, and they'll follow you and they'll watch your stuff. One of the biggest things that people are faking right now, aside from autism or
DID.
ADHD, it is DID, dissociative identity disorder.
Used to be known as multiple personality
Yes,
syndrome.
and there are people who have 520 alters. They call themselves a complete system or some stupid shit like that, and they are able to pull these alters out and quote unquote front whenever they want. And not only are they realistic personalities, quote unquote realistic personalities, but they have fictional personalities, or the personality is a demon or an angel or an alien or hell, Jesus themselves. Like it's popular on TikTok, and people will do this because they want the attention, and I don't understand, and I never will understand why faking a disorder like this, whether being deaf or mentally disabled or whatever it is, for internet clout. Because when you're found out, and you will be, it ruins you. So what's the point?
I really don't understand it. So cochlear implants can be hacked. Q's up, never going to give you up. Actually, yes, you can hack a cochlear implant because it has Bluetooth, so you can connect to it through Bluetooth. Why do blind people don't skydive? It scares the dog. Funny thing is there's actually a dude on here that's blind and he does skydive.
Well,
He does it with his
Ray
partner,
is
though.
Ray is making fun of the seeing eye dog thing.
Yeah, but him making the comment of the dog, that reminds me, the only aid I actually use is a hearing dog. That's it, but I have my service dog because I also have my POTS.
But you also do things that you have like the AI caption generator and things like that, so you can better understand what I'm saying or whoever's talking to. I don't want to call you out, so I'm not trying to make fun of you or anything, but when you go on long rants in DMs with me, there are some times I have to read it for a little bit to try and figure out what you actually said.
Sorry.
No. I've actually gotten really good at understanding what you said because of it. So, because I know you're using text to speech, so you're not necessarily typing it out. So it's.
And Psycho, you should still use your cane, even though people do have a tendency of saying you're not blind. There's actually a dude that was on here not long ago who was denied access with a service dog and cane because they claimed he wasn't actually blind. But you still should be able to use the tools you need to make your life easier, and don't worry about what other people says. Hunjin from Stray Kids says it best. Do not do anything to impress other people, because people will always judge. Do things to impress yourself.
It's actually really good advice.
It is. Yeah,
all right, what's the next one?
Ishtar made me use punctuation today because of it. You can keep your candy in your cane. Anyways, next.
If VTubers aren't catfishing, why are they even VTubers to begin with? Creativity! You can be whatever you want, and no one but the TOS and God can stop you. There's also the matter of privacy. Lots of VTubers choose to hide their face because, have you seen how parasocial some fans can get? And I'm not talking about just VTubers, it's the Wild West out here. Number 3 is laziness. Lots of people don't want to get dolled up for the camera every day, and nothing is better than being able to stream pantsless and nobody knows. In fact, you should probably assume that your favorite streamer streams pantsless. And number 4, the most important reason that I personally believe, we'll have to wait until next time, because I talk too damn slow and we are running out of time. My bad. If VTubers aren't...
Listen, I am...
already know where this is going.
I used to have a news show called MSNBC, where the tagline was all of the news, none of the pants. My co-hosts were Ishtar and Ren, formerly known as Reading Ren. And do you know how many times Ishtar didn't have pants on whilst we were streaming because we couldn't see anything below the waist?
I'm assuming y'all are naked.
There was one time that she had to get up during stream and she forgot, and everyone caught a glimpse of her bare rear.
Damn.
Yes, and there were times that she wasn't wearing anything at all, but she didn't have a camera on at that point.
But yeah. I will admit the lazy one. 110%. 110% the lazy one.
I can tell you right now, I'm in lounge pants and an undershirt.
I'm in PJs. But I
Well,
have
those
a
are-
dragon that likes to crawl around me, and she has sharp claws, and I don't want any to be naked and have nice, lovely cuts all over.
Do you have her follow up after this one? But or no, because there's no real follow up that's needed. Like
No.
she hit a lot of things on the head.
As far as I know, no. This was actually sent to me. Well, us. Next!
We need to boycott Daily Mail, all right? You see this video? Unsurvivable hurricane shakes Florida bridge. You see this truck right there? That's me. See this little Escalade right there? Yes. This bridge? This is a camera on a stick that was shaking. Yeah, I even have footage of that. This is me, standing on this bridge. A bridge that survived Hurricane Ian, a Category 5 hurricane. This is just tropical force winds, right? So, unfortunately, my truck is parked that way. So, I'm going to start walking back that way. Here's one of the poles, as you can tell, just shaking, right? It's a steel pole, aluminum. I don't know what it's made of.
Dude, is it just me, or does mass media, your big companies like Daily Mail, will do anything to get those clicks to try and stop people like News Daddy from getting those clicks?
There are so Daily Mail is somewhat reputable. They do a lot of investigation into things. They do cite a lot of sources, but like any news agency, they do post clickbait from time to time. Slow news days, things like that. This was probably a slow news day because of the hurricane that was going on. So they wanted to post something about a hurricane to get people's attention. So most of the time, I would think Daily Mail is all right. I'm not saying they're good or completely 100% honest, but I would say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're probably about a 7. Like, I don't think any news organization is actually honest 100% of the time.
Fair. Next.
Am I the asshole for deleting my girlfriend's
Yes.
Sims save files?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me say this. Let me just
I
say.
don't need to know the rest. Yes, 100% you're the asshole. Fuck you.
But I want to hear the rest.
Say that again. Hold on.
Yeah, sure. Go
Am I
ahead.
the asshole for deleting my girlfriend's Sims save files?
Yes. Yes. You
Yeah.
are.
Well, hold on. Let's hear him out.
No.
Let's just start by saying that I, 24
Hey, we just gotta just hear me out.
male,
We did.
love my girlfriend, Aaliyah, 20 female, very much. She's a super hardworking girl, and she spends a lot of her time on classes trying to get the highest grades possible for applying to nursing school in the
Yeah.
near future.
That's nice.
When she's not doing that, she's doing chores or cutting down on her ever-growing to-do list. And when she's not doing that, she's spending 2 hours a day playing The Sims, amateur. This is
Yeah,
where the
that's actually-
problem...
2 hours? 2 hours?
Listen, when I was playing Minecraft, and Ishtar can attest to this, 2 hours is fucking nothing. When I was going through Baldur's Gate 3, I would be like, look, I'm going to just do a couple of side quests.
You played Baldur's Gate and you didn't tell me.
Yeah, I played Baldur's Gate 3. But I would play, I'm like, I'm going to just do a couple of side quests. And then Ishtar would be like, it's time to go to bed. And I was like, it was 10 o'clock in the morning. What happened?
I'm with Ishtar, but with The Sims 4, it could absorb my whole day. I mean, I could embarrass the holy shit out of me and pull up EA on how many hours that I've played The Sims, but I don't want to do that.
A pretty good amount of hours.
Gaming, yeah.
I don't think I've ever played The Sims for only 2 hours.
I've never. If I do a gaming day, I'm not doing just 2 hours.
Nah, it's all day. Yeah.
Who does fucking
This is where the problem comes in.
Okay.
After all the stuff she does, Aaliyah doesn't have as much time to spend with me as she could. She's a perfectionist too, so when she's doing the more serious stuff like school, she puts in more effort than necessary, which is time-consuming. It really got to me that even knowing this, she'll spend so much time on The Sims. It's something frivolous she's doing when we already only get so little time together.
Okay.
She's also an adult, so essentially playing digital dolls almost every day is kind of something she ought to grow out of by now.
Digital dolls?
He said it. You know what? I know the bingo card has Antwon rants, but I think if I don't stop you, we're going to get a Banshee rant here about digital dolls.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Go fuck yourself.
I decided to step.
We need to boycott Daily Mail.
Am I the asshole for time consuming? It really got to me that even knowing this, she'll spend so much time on The Sims. It's something frivolous she's doing when we already only get so little time together.
Okay.
She's also an adult, so essentially playing digital dolls almost every day is kind of something she ought to grow out of by now.
Go fuck yourself.
I decided to step in and have her cut back on this. I obviously didn't delete the whole game, but I figured deleting the little save files she was working on would deter her from spending so much time on it. That decision backfired tremendously. I did not expect that to happen.
Wow.
When she logged onto her game, she thought there was some glitch going on and kept restarting until I explained to her that I removed the saves.
That's actually really sad.
She absolutely flipped out on me, saying she'd been playing in that save file since like 2017, and I had ruined years of game progress.
Jesus.
Parentheses. Sims isn't even a gold game? Question mark, question mark, question mark?
Gold?
Gold game?
What the hell is a gold game? What do you mean by gold game? Like AAA? I'm sorry. The Sims is an open world sandbox of just do whatever the fuck you want. People make entire shows on the stuff they do with the Sims. Yeah,
The game?
yes,
What is that,
Ishtar,
like a
Ishtar's
AAA?
losing her mind.
Like no gold. GOALED. There's no goals.
There are goals. You have aspirations and careers and oh my god.
Oh.
There's also goals of seeing how
there
long
are.
you survive in a pool without a ladder.
They actually specifically have life goals in The Sims.
And I've seen so many people do like the
challenges.
generations challenge.
I have a second TikTok that eventually will be around the generation challenge, which has a lot of set goals and rules that oh my god.
Where you have like 20 generations marathon.
Have you never played The Sims?
No, apparently not.
What the fuck? Okay.
Okay.
I don't understand.
She absolutely flipped out on me, saying she'd been playing in that save file since like 2017, and I had ruined years of game progress.
Yeah.
Parentheses, Sims isn't even a gold game. I told her she was overreacting because she still has the game, and she could just remake her same little characters if it mattered so much. But it doesn't need to, and maybe now, she can focus on more adult interests, like.
I want to be perfectly clear when I say this. Stab him.
Repeatedly. Mhm. Mhm.
There's commercials.
Yeah, I see that. And yeah, there's also individual personalities and stories and lives. She can't just pick it up right
You can
on my. Mm.
you can design the same character, but that doesn't mean anything about the character living the same exact way.
Oh, oh, hey, Ant, look in the comments. The first one.
Oh, that's awesome.
She.
She got her save file back.
Fuck him. I'm glad she got it back.
All right. 17 seconds for the ad, and then we can continue.
I'm glad she got it back. I really do.
I am too.
But he's a
I
fucking
do agree with the
asshole.
I agree with the second comment as well. Rather than communicate with my partner, I destroyed something that she loved.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a fucking asshole.
All right, we are back.
He's a fucking asshole. Finish this
Play.
off.
Like loved ones. Basically, she left immediately, saying she was so stupid to leave her gaming laptop at my place, and now she won't answer my calls.
Gee,
I know
I wonder why.
that this is a total overreaction, but I started
Not an
to feel a
overreaction.
little bad once I realized it may not be as easy to redo her characters as I initially thought. So, am I the asshole for deleting my girlfriend's sim save? Am I the asshole for deleting my girlfriend's
Yes,
you are.
But I am
So for those of you who didn't hear because the commercial was going, the first comment on this TikTok that we can see on the side is that she got her save files restored. So her Sims are back alive. I don't know if the boyfriend is alive, but
fuck him.
The Sims are.
I will say that is the quickest way to end a friendship, a relationship, or anything with me is to delete my save file.
Shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Right. Ah.
Next.
Yeah, she doesn't need him. Next.
No, she doesn't need him.
Look at this. So after P. Diddy was arrested, Usher, Megan Fox, and Pink deleted their social media posts.
Pause.
Pink deleted
Megan Fox hasn't posted on social media and didn't delete anything after 2 months after she opened up her Twitter. So putting her in this right away means this guy didn't do any research whatsoever.
I mean, fair. But a lot of these people and a lot of normal people don't realize a lot of tweets are saved in the Library of Congress. And the Wayback Machine's got everything else.
Yeah.
So try and delete things.
So just for Megan Fox, I'm not talking about Pink or Usher. Megan Fox was bullied off of Twitter like 2 months after she opened up her thing. So opened up her account. So but hit play.
Okay.
Did everything back into 2017 and only left these two posts. Usher totally cleared his Twitter account, and Megan Fox deleted everything on her Instagram and deleted everything on her Twitter back into 2013. Why do you think they all cleared their social media accounts after he was arrested? Look at this.
Again, already talked about Megan Fox. Usher, he deleted everything. Same thing for Pink. Usher basically was in Usher. He was Robin to P. Diddy's Batman.
I love you, man, Squash. This goes back to the Sims thing. I think we should bury the hatchet. Also, rename you to Hatchet.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
Next.
Kansas spices like this cinnamon are so hard to open. You know,
How did she pronounce that?
Kansas spices like this cinnamon are so hard to open. You know.
Hold on. One more time. I think the inner cook in me the inner chef in me just died.
Cans of spices like this cinnamon are so hard to open. You know, I'm
cinnamon?
What?
Cinnamon. She called it cinnamon. And she's using an
Captions are saying cinnamon, so I don't know if anything is being said weird. Everything is saying cinnamon, so...
No, she's pronouncing it cinnamon.
Well, captions changed that one. That's weird. Keep going.
Knives. So I've got a hack for you guys, because watch, if you use the knife, it never...
Just a poll for the group. Did anyone else need assistance opening a spice container? No?
No.
Does anyone know what the hell cinnamon is? No? Okay, me neither. Good. At least we're all on the same page here. Listen, I think I've understood completely where the problem is. We're spending a lot of time fixing things that don't need to be fixed, while we're ignoring the things that are hard to fix, that might take a little bit of that brain power that we're putting towards placing chopsticks through the tinfoil cover of a spice container. History.
Okay, I will play a little bit of devil's advocate. I have had some spice containers where the little lid won't fucking come off, so the only way I can get to my nice, lovely crushed red peppers was to stab holes.
Okay, yes, using a chopstick, sure. Or something to puncture it. She's been using a knife to take the lids off of her spices like cinnamon since she started cooking.
That's a problem. But I think we have put warning labels on things that really shouldn't have warning labels. And
No, I agree. Women like that are the reason that curling irons say do not place into an orifice while hot. Because someone did it.
That almost feels like rage bait. I mean, yeah, it could be. And the only kind of bait that I'm a fan of, oh my god.
The name is Moist Carpet, if you weren't expecting a joke like that.
And he's my cousin.
Yeah, take pizza out of box before consuming.
Peanuts may contain peanuts.
Next.
Oh, hi, Felix.
145 people, 667 people, 1,344 people.
Pause, you please. I understand that whole thing, but not the numbers. I'm jealous of the numbers, but the setting there when you started live trying to get people to come in and you're looking at the viewer count and you're like, come on. I get that. But he's a nice, lovely little cleansing of the palate with the shit before him.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't pronounce it cinnamon.
Oh, I know for a fact he doesn't. With his nice Aussie accent and everything, he's mentioned that while he was cooking his brownies. Which, I want that recipe.
1,700. Oh Lord. Light. Look behind you. So ever since I like saw on space, I look behind you. Yeah. I ain't scared no more. You don't have to do the look behind you anymore. It ain't gonna work.
I think we got a nice little palate cleanse, don't you? Are we ready for what's left?
If we must.
Or do we want to stay on Felix a little longer?
No, we can go to the next one.
Bye, Felix.
A baby bird was warmed in a tortilla during a backyard barbecue in Texas after a family spotted her on the ground with no parents in sight. The family was out grilling when Katie Adlong saw what she initially thought was a baby barn owl all by itself, and she found that the tiny bird was cold to the touch. Concerned that she was too chilly, Katie had the idea to warm a tortilla on the grill and swaddle the bird with it to give her some warmth. Once the bird was wrapped up, the family called the Wild West Wildlife Rehabilitation Center for further advice. While the bird was actually a Mississippi kite and not a barn owl, it turns out that Katie's instinct was completely correct, as raptors typically don't leave the nest at all at this age, and they're unable to regulate their own body temperature. If they're this young and found outside of a nest, they need to be warmed as soon as possible and taken straight to a wildlife hospital. Rehabbers came right to the house after being told that the baby bird was wrapped in a flour tortilla, noting that the warming technique was both undoubtedly inventive and surprisingly effective. They transported the baby, now named Taquito, back to their rehab center, where she's making great progress and has a healthy appetite. Taquito is expected to make a full recovery and be released into the wild in about 2 months. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day. A baby bird was...
That's kind of adorable.
Why a tortilla?
Probably because it was what they had available?
Didn't they have cloth? They're all wearing clothes.
I mean, yeah, but the tortilla was warm.
Because they put it on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
If that's all they needed to do...
Ow.
Why a tortilla?
That was wholesome, though. Next.
If I was the president of the United States, why wouldn't I want to have some type of push towards women to try to get married younger, to try to have families younger so that I could bring that birth rate up? If you could save the human species by simply changing around policies, wouldn't you try to do that?
I want to say, first off, I can't stand Andrew Wilson, and that's who that was. He is a faux intellectual. He is a fake conservative, and he debates in the worst faith possible. The way he debates is he makes it sound like he's saying logical, but when you think about what he says, it makes no sense. And a lot of times you look at it and go, okay, how is that something that we could implement? Well, let's see what her stitch is.
I literally wrote a trilogy about this. I wrote a 3-book series about this. It's supposed to be a dystopian military fantasy, but here we are. No, actually, when I was 16, I outlined and started writing a series about women being forced to breed, to repopulate the human race, and to maintain an adequate military force. I wrote a series about women being forced to have children and to marry young because the government deemed it necessary. And I don't care if it's a hypothetical or clickbait or rage bait or whatever it is to get people to watch these inane red pill podcasts. Hearing rhetoric from my book, my fantasy book, in real life on my For You page is crazy. It's crazy. From an early age, I was very concerned about women being forced to have children against their will, and I didn't like the way that the country was going, even back then. I did not anticipate the escalation. I didn't think Roe would get overturned. I didn't think women in red states would be losing their lives. And yes, a part of writing dystopian books is inserting a kind of warning to society. But I just didn't think we'd be here so fast. And I didn't think I'd be seeing before my very eyes the beginning, the prequel of Breeder. But on a lighter note, my trilogy is done after 10 years. Woohoo! To be fair, that was across high school and college, and rewriting the drafts from high school and college, and starting a career that has nothing to do with being an author, getting a house, remodeling said house, but we made it. That's the point, right? So if any of you are interested...
All right, pause. So she's being a little overdramatic. Because it's just Andrew Wilson.
Drama much? Yes.
Yeah, she doesn't understand that the red pill ideology is actually dying. Kicking and screaming and taking anyone it can with it, but it is actively dying. no one being incentivized to do it, as Ishtar said, being incentivized to do it and being forced to do it are two completely separate things. If you want to incentivize young families, young married couples to start a family with a larger tax credit or whatever, that's not forcing that woman to get pregnant. That's incentivizing the both of them to consider their options to get pregnant. Strapping her down into onto the bed and forcing her to get pregnant and breed, like we read from the nice guy story earlier, those are two completely different things. So I think she's being a little over dramatic. Okay, a lot over dramatic, but I think it's interesting that she has created something that is now like being talked about. But I'm pretty sure the person who created The Handmaid's Tale is seeing the same thing, since it keeps getting brought up all the damn time.
Yeah.
If I was
Don't date. If you're fat, sit it out. Sit it the fuck out.
What? How about
Excuse
you
you?
sit your ins-
What?
I'm sorry, if you're fat, sit out. How about
No.
blow me? Simply put.
Secure ass out.
You fat bitch. Okay, do you not understand? Do you not get it? Okay. If you're fat, you're not if you're fat,
She kind of reminds me of Pearl.
I think she's trying too hard to be Pearl, but she's... Forgive me for being petty. She's about as ugly as Pearl.
You're going to take anything you can get, first of all. You will take anything you can get.
Girl, bye. There's somebody for everybody.
Right.
But shit, it sounds like your somebody left your ass for a bigger girl.
Oh.
You know, now that you say that, since Pearl had her longest boyfriend stolen by an older woman, and Pearl now goes as hard as she can against older women, there's a really good chance that there's some projection here.
Yeah. And this woman might need some aloe for that burn. I'm not giving it though. She can find it herself.
You don't deserve anything better. You really don't. Because you're not putting yourself out better, are you?
And you not putting yourself out better either with that weak ass personality.
So you're...
Damn.
Facts. I like this woman. I don't know who she is. What is it? Naquib?
I'm not gonna attempt to say that.
a fat bitch, and you think that a man should just be okay with that, right?
Baby girl.
Why not? There's people that want that.
They're called chubby chasers.
Yeah.
And I say this
Or
every single
feeders.
time. That's another one. I say this every single time. Every single time something like this comes up. One of the largest, no pun intended, searched terms in pornography to date is BBW. Big, beautiful women. And they're not talking about some woman with a couple extra pounds on them. They're talking about women who, well, they wear quadruple X clothing.
Girl, you about to go into cardiac arrest with all that goddamn hatred in your heart.
I'm beautiful the way I am. No, you're not. You're fat, okay? You're unattractive. You're unhealthy. You're sloppy.
Size does not determine if somebody is beautiful or not. And there are so many unhealthy little people in the world. Just because you small, that does not make your ass healthy. Some of y'all are just as unhealthy as the bigger people. So I would shut the hell up.
I would like to point out anorexia is a thing, and that is literally...
So is bulimia.
Yeah, and that's another one, and those are so unhealthy, and you're so skinny while doing that.
Ishtar, I want to point something out to you. That woman's attitude, that was a ratchet attitude.
The white chick?
No, the black chick.
Oh.
She, as you know, Ishtar is a narrator, and she's a voice actress. So one of the last books she was said to do, the author wanted her to do a Ratchet style voice, and she didn't know what that meant. So I tried giving her a couple of examples that she completely ignored. Then she talked to our friend Brokis, who helped her out.
Oh, that's a name I haven't heard in forever.
He's doing rather well. But yeah, I'm not trying to be insulting to her, but that like attitude she has, that's a Ratchet attitude. And it's, she's on point. Everything she said in this TikTok, she was on point.
I'm 110% back her, not the girl on the camera. Next.
Yeah. This is a crazy story. This comment reminded me of this guy that I dated recently. Really good looking.
Hold on. All right. 1, why are the sweater puppies first thing we see? 2, why is she wearing shorts where if she goes a little bit lower, we will know what type of hairstyle she has? Is this a thirst trap? Are you posting a thirst trap?
Self-esteem was reliant on his ability to go out, get women, and have. But he was really inexperienced. He could never sustain in a. Was really insecure in the fact that I had more experience than him and more partners, and we quickly found out why. He didn't like the girls who'd been ran through. He didn't like the girls who were easy. He didn't like the girls who wanted to have. He wanted the girls who didn't. He wanted the one girl in the club that no guy could get because she didn't want to have. And if he could manipulate, coerce, and convince her, charm her, into. That's where he derived his pleasure. Not from his ability to be.
And him and all his fuckboy buddies would celebrate that they were able to get a girl who was a challenge.
They didn't actually care about. I don't care if she enjoyed herself, it was pleasurable. That's not important. What's important is feeding their ego by proving to themselves and other men that they can get people to do it. So I said, well, no wonder you have boring ass. You only have people who don't want to. And you know what we call that? RAP. And these perspectives run rampant in society. The patriarchy, misogyny, sexism. Half of dudes think like this. Half of dudes think that pleasure is reserved for men. That if a woman enjoys
Pause. Okay. It's not half of men. It's not. There are men out there that think like that. You and I have talked about them. I talk about them on my show. Myron would be one of those men. I think she's exaggerating. But there are men out there that do like that. And they're also the same men that believe that they deserve virgins and things like that. They can sleep with as many women as they want, but their wife, that woman better be a virgin.
Judging by when this is posted, this was during one of the 2 times we didn't stream, so I'm willing to bet it's not this is not up there anywhere in TikTok. Another good example is the police officer versus the hot chemist, where the hot chemist booby trapped her drink for if it was to be roofied, it exploded, and it made the officer leave by ambulance because he roofied the hot chemist's drink. I don't understand guys and girls, because there are some women that does this as well. It's not a one gender thing. That does things to roofie, force, manipulate, coerce, or guilt trip someone into doing something else. May it be sex, maybe be favors, so forth, such as. I don't understand it. No was a
I
full
also-
fucking sentence, just saying.
Yeah, I also think this lady needs to calm down a little bit. Like, she's spitting out her things so fast, it's hard to keep up with her. But go ahead, hit play.
Oh, you want to continue or?
I want to hear a little bit more of what she's saying before I just kind of wash my hands of her and call it bullshit.
Okay.
Pleasure. That you should not want her. That's the idea that pleasure is only for men. Only men need to nut. When men nut, we're done. Women only have reproduction. Women aren't supposed to enjoy themselves. Those expectations are just too high. Guys who want women who are inexperienced, who have not had many partners, want women who have no frame of context to realize those guys. Any dude who has an issue with specific.
That's actually fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Like, I'll keep using him as a reference. Myron wants a woman who's inexperienced. Why? Because he doesn't want them to know any better. He already has openly admitted that women's orgasm doesn't matter, vaginas are gross, foreplay is pointless, the only thing women are for is for reproduction. The men she's talking about are these red pill idiots. So, in the same standard that she is talking about these men being an extreme, she is also being an extreme on the same side of the on the opposite side of the coin by saying all men are like this. So we can move on, but my final thing on this is it's not all men. It's a very small, very, very small sect of men who are like this. And they're very easy to find. They're very easy to point out. And they're extremely easy to avoid. Most of the time, they don't have the people skills in order to do something like she described.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's I'm not saying what she's saying is bullshit. I'm just saying she's being a little extreme for what she's actually saying.
Next.
Adorable breaking news. A canine police officer in Michigan is now under investigation for stealing another officer's lunch. Specifically, a sandwich has gone missing in the Wyandotte Police Department in Michigan. Here is the official statement from the police department. I am not making this up. Stealing is not only a crime, but it is morally wrong too. That being said, it saddens me to report that a current canine officer of the Wyandotte Police Department is under investigation for stealing. Officer Ice had stolen Officer Barwig's lunch while taking a break in the break room. Officer Barwig was called to help a person in the WPD jail. When he came back, his lunch was mysteriously gone. Officer Ice, the canine, has invoked his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and quite frankly is not cooperating with the investigation. But then the people in the county turned on the police department. They are threatening riots and protests for the defense of Canine Officer Ice, saying it's not his fault, he's a good boy. And then a dozen attorneys offered to defend Officer Ice pro bono. That was a great pun. I love that one. And then a lunch company called Lunch Wyandotte, they actually served Officer Ice, the canine, custom-made sandwiches because, and I quote, it looked like Officer Ice was not being fed. So they made him little sandwiches. Justice for Canine Officer Ice. He didn't do it. He's a good boy.
I love that. That's awesome.
Never underestimate the ridiculousness of the internet.
I would
I'm
like
pretty
to
sure-
point out the ship that was named Sir Bodie McBoatpants.
Boaty McBoatface.
Yes, that's it.
Listen, I know the police department thought this was going to be something funny and cute and kind of give like a soft message of stealing's wrong, even if it's for a dog. And the internet went, oh no, bitch, you leave that good boy alone. You do not mess with Officer Ice. And lost their goddamn minds.
Justice for Officer Ice. was amazing, though. Whoever sent that, I love you. You're amazing.
If you put a nail in a hole, shut up. And you hammer it, shut up. It might not go all the way in the first time. Shut up. If you put a nail...
Shut up.
I can't help it. I have a humor of a 12-year-old boy. It's fine.
I love you. I really do. But shut up. Next.
So I just boxed out my hair 2 weeks ago, and I want to go platinum blonde.
Turn around another mannequin. Oh my god! But turn around.
Oh my god! So
I want to see it again.
I hair 2 weeks ago, and I want to go platinum blonde.
This is what the internet is actually for. Just saying.
The other mannequin's like, what the fuck? This is why I have Oh my god! Hey, Toothless! You are not controlling the stream. Oh my god. The internet is... No, let's not put that song into my head, please. Next!
Did y'all see this? This United States Patriot was going to get into her seat, a seat that she's paid darn near $600 for to upgrade. And when she goes to get on her seat, there's somebody sitting in the seat actively. Now you would think the airline would do the right thing, as in give this person the seat that they paid for. And when they escorted her off the plane, that's what she thought was going to happen. No, she was sitting inside that lobby, and then they brought her back to the plane, sat her down on a seat that had 2 extra seats sitting there, and said, we can't give you your seat back, the one that you paid extra for, but we can give you this row of seats to yourself. So while she's sitting in those seats, in her own row of seats, a couple comes up and stands next to her and is like, hey, can you move? Me and my wife are not sitting next to each other. Now, that is not her responsibility. That is not her thing to do. You and your wife's bad planning does not equate to you having what I'm supposed to have as extra seatage due to me paying extra money for a comfort seat and getting put back in regular class. Well, those 2 individuals, the woman, right, proceeded to pick up her stuff, the stuff that was sitting next to her, and put it down on the floor. She picked it up and moved it to the floor. She dropped that lady's stuff to the ground and then proceeded to...
Hell no.
And
You do not get to touch my... You do not get to touch my things. We should probably hold off for a second because there's going to be an ad break in about 7 seconds.
And there's more. Oh my
I see that.
First and foremost, why couldn't they give her seat that she paid for?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I paid for the seat. Get your ass up. If not, I'm sitting on you. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, watching this later, or can hear outside the ads, I am not a small man. So me sitting on you for the duration of the flight is probably not in your best interest.
Yeah.
to sit exactly where that lady stuff was, and then had her husband sit on the other side of her. Now let me ask you a question personally before continuing this story. After you paid extra money for a seat that you didn't get, and the flight attendant set you in a seat where you're supposed to get extra leg room, but then somebody deboes you out of that leg room, what would you do? What would you do in that situation?
I would raise holy hell.
Yeah. I don't. Flying, I will admit, flying is a nerve wreck for me in the first place. I nitpick on what seats I'm going to sit. I will pay for my flight months in advance to make sure I get a window, because for some bizarre reason I don't get panicky and whatnot when I'm next to a window. But if I paid extra for like first class or business, most likely I'm also going to Seoul, so I need that extra leg room for a fucking reason, and I lose that, go to a full row to lose that to some woman and her husband for their poor planning and they touching my shit, I would lose my shit. And if I
Oh
want,
yeah, yes.
and 9 times out of
Yes.
10, I'm taking my cello, so one of those chairs is being held with a cello, which means if you touch it, move it to the floor, you're probably going to end up breaking it.
See, I would normally say stab them, but seeing as it's a plane and you can only have nail clippers, the stabbing is not possible. But yeah, you do that to me, and it's not going to be good for you.
Well, if my
It's
cello
not.
ends up broken because of them moving it, I could stab them with the pieces of the cello.
True. All right, please say there's a good ending to this.
I don't know. I have not seen this.
Situation. Okay, because this lady, you know, with the humbleness and the gracefulness that she had, she did nothing and sat there and rose that plane. Me personally, I probably would have called a stewardess. Hey, they're not sitting where they're supposed to be sitting. I need these both seats, or I need my original seat back. Something's gonna happen. I need a full refund altogether, all my money back, and I need a different.
Yes, a full fucking refund for sure.
Yes.
Ticket to take me to the place that I get. While I'm there, I'm going to need a hotel or something, because what are you talking about, American Airlines? Why are you doing me like this? And is it you doing me like this, or the employees that you have doing me like this? Because somebody is doing me incorrectly. Well, oh girl, she asked for that refund. She asked American Airlines for that refund. You know what they said?
Then I email the people about the order. I tell them, they send me a message, which I feel is like an automated message because I asked for a refund. I still haven't received a refund. They say it takes 7 to 11 days to get one. But has anyone had this problem? I always fly American, but I'm trying to see, should I switch because of this shit makes
sense. And it made absolutely no sense to me. What do you think about this situation? Because I'm pretty sure American Airlines saw that this individual used a military ID to upgrade their seats. And when they took them off the plane or scanned them into the plane, they had to have gotten on the plane. Wait a minute. That's my thought process. Why didn't you get on the plane first? Don't they ask for...
Okay, I can answer that one. Not a lot of servicemen or women will use the prior boarding, and they will board with the last of the people. I have been in the back because I don't use prior boarding myself, and I will be hanging out with the troops dude that doesn't want to be in priority boarding either, because it's just too much attention being drawn. They just want to go in like everybody else.
See, Ishtar, she would have screamed for the flight attendant. That's the problem, Ishtar. The flight attendant took her off the plane without giving her her seat back, and then gave her a whole row to herself, and then didn't
let these couples sit down.
Yeah, the flight attendants are the ones that are the problem. All right, there's a little bit left.
Military members to get on the plane first? So that means in front of the military members, was this a business class lady? Nah, the only way is Oat Girl was first class. So a first class lady took, or platinum status. Actually, to tell you the truth, And I'm not even gonna get too mad, right? She probably was average executive platinum status, and they didn't have anywhere else for her to sit, and she took priority over the military. But that second thing, those people grabbing my stuff, those people taking my... Actually, no, I paid $600. I paid extra. That wasn't even a military thing. That was an extra $600 getting paid. Now, y'all, I get done bad a lot. And I love making excuses for the people that did me wrong. But this situation just seems wrong all around. What do y'all think? Did y'all see...
Full refund.
Yeah.
Full uncredited refund. Not I get $600 in flight credit. No, you're giving me my money back.
And don't fly with American Airlines. I personally do United. I haven't had any problems with United. I've had problems with Frontier, especially with being deaf. I've had many problems with Frontier. I have never had a problem with United.
When we went to Barbados, American Airlines is the only one that went out there. We didn't have a problem with them. But we have had a problem with Frontier, and we did have to fly Spirit once.
I've done Spirit once too, and
I will never fly Spirit again. I'm sorry. I would rather walk.
Got me curious on what planes go out to Seoul now.
No, Spirit is not safe.
No.
Spirit is the Waffle House of airlines. If Spirit goes down in the air, sorry, you're not making it out alive.
Anybody know anything about Canadian Air?
I haven't heard anything bad about them.
Because that's one that seems to keep popping up, and I will never fly American Airlines, and that's on here. Of course, United is, but Canadian Air is on here, and I have questions because I've never heard anything about them.
Well, that's good and bad. It means that there's nothing great to hear about them, but there's nothing bad to hear about them either.
Yeah. So there's that. Hey, we actually hit all of the TikToks. This is the first one from the last stream.
It is. I remember it.
We get them all. And
How
we
is
have
that?
11 minutes.
What do we do for 11 minutes?
Well, we could go back to bingo, and there's always Reddit. Or we could just BS and talk about how American Airlines is utter trash.
Well, I haven't had problems with Americans, so from my experience, I can't say that they're trash. I also haven't had problems with United. I think we had problems with Alaska Airlines at one point.
Yeah, that was also on the list of that goes to Seoul.
But I don't know. So this was when I was much, much younger. Yeah, Southwest is bad. Southwest is very bad. This happened when I was much, much younger. So you've heard of the term being bumped, right?
Uh-huh.
To do with planes. They overbook a plane, even if you had a ticket, whatever happened, they bump you off the plane. So this happened with my mom when I was much younger, and we were going to go visit my grandparents in Chicago. I was too young to understand what was going on. My mom and dad, on the other hand, were very, very angry. So my mother wrote and this was before the time of email, so she actually had to write this out, a very polite fuck you to the airlines. So instead of just ignoring my mother, they got back to her without asking and sent her 2 first-class tickets to anywhere in the continental US. So she contacted the airline and asked if she trade those in for 4 economy class. Her 2 kids. And they said, yes, no problem. So that's how I got to go to Disney World. She traded in the 2 first-class tickets for 4 economy class tickets to anywhere in the continental US, and we went to Florida, went to Disney World back when Epcot first opened. God, I'm old. And then we went to SeaWorld Miami, which again much bigger than SeaWorld San Diego, even though San Diego was first. Which was, I remember having a blast on that trip. So I haven't had many bad experiences on airlines, except US Customs is awful.
I wouldn't know. That's one thing I'm gonna have to deal with when I go to and from Seoul. That and
So going to is not bad, right? They have their own thing. So how it worked in Barbados is there was a line. They had kiosks that allowed you to put in the information that you needed to, where you're staying, how long you're staying, the address of the place you're staying, what you're there for, all of the questions that they would normally ask you if you were going international. Coming back, Miami-Dade International Airport is set up like a fucking clown show. So when you come in from the East Coast into Miami and in Miami-Dade, you are sequestered. You have to wait in line to pick up your bags. You grab your bags, you go literally the opposite side of the fucking airport. And when I say opposite side, I mean we must have ran a half a mile. And you are sequestered. You are upstairs compared to everyone else. They don't want you anywhere near anybody. You go to where you think you're done with customs because there's the people in the booths who do not want to see you, who just ask for your ID or your passport, see that you're American, and then they wave your ass through. Then you have to go get your bags. So you go down to a specific area that has international baggage, which takes forever, and then you have to walk into security again. In an enclosed space with tons of people, it is hot, unair conditioned, and just awful. The situation is awful. I don't know how they got that bad, but it's one line. One line going to 4 metal detectors. And they don't do the full body scans. They just wait. They just have you walk through. Wait, if something dings, they let you go through. They do the wand and then they wave you through. What the fuck? It was awful. That's the worst thing I've ever done. Flying. It's awful.
It sounds like it.
I was so done with the trip. Like, we were trying to get home. We were so done with the trip. 18 hours from the morning to when we got home. 18 hours. It was awful. And then all right, there is a funny part to our ending trip. So we didn't, because we were getting in so late, we didn't have anybody coming to pick us up, right? And we didn't park our car in the car park because we didn't want to pay, $2,000 for being there for 2 weeks. So we called a cab. I'm an extrovert. Like I feed off of people's energy, right? I was done. I didn't want anyone near me at all. I didn't want to be around anyone. So apparently at 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, the people who are there to pick up other people have no idea what the fuck they're doing. There are 2 lanes to pick up people. You're allowed to park for a short amount of time. Other than that, there are 3 other lanes of traffic. Well, because people who are dumb, they caused the 3rd lane of traffic to become a pickup traffic spot because they were parking diagonally into 2 different lanes. I'm saying all this to get to the funny part. So we're waiting for our cab. Cab finally shows up. He waves us over. He is in the middle of an active street. So he really quickly opens his trunk, throws our bags in. We get in, and the back door won't close. So he pulls ahead of everyone who's picking up passengers and shit, and pulls off to the side. He goes, fixes our bags, closes the trunk. Now, I personally thought he was going to ask us for our address, and he was going to put it into his GPS, and we were going to be on our way. This is not what happened. He started driving. We are in traffic when he finally asks us where we're going. So we give him our address, and he starts typing it in while he's on the freeway. And Ishtar, loud enough for this man to hear, whispers to me, "We're gonna die." I was so done with people. We're not gonna die. It's fine. He's just going to drive us home. I know he heard, and I'm sure he felt bad, but it was the funniest part of that entire trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ishtar was absolutely done. She just wanted to be home.
I don't blame her. I would probably be in the exact same boat.
But
yeah. Oh, look at that. Now it's time.
Well, you let me ramble about a trip for 11 minutes, of course.
Do you want to do the outro?
Sure, I can do the outro.
I would
Thank you.
Before you do the outro, I would like to let everybody know we are going to do a raid today because I got in touch with some old friends of mine, and he is streaming. It looks like he is streaming Pokemon, so please, after Antwon's done with the outro, stick around. You guys will be sent to his channel before the actual ending portion of the stream. So, Antwon, the mic is yours.
Oh, don't say something like that. We'll go on for another hour. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Threads of Truth, episode 9, I think? 8?
I think it's 9.
Anyway, 8 or 9, whatever. We're not really keeping track. I hope you enjoyed watching us react to TikToks, hearing about the Reddit stories, and if we entertained you, please share this when you see it go live on YouTube, or invite other people here when we're going live so they can partake. But with all that being said, my name is Antwon Creed. I've been joined by the host of the show and owner of the channel, Deaf Banshee, and we hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time.
Never mind on the raid, he just ended his stream. Love you guys. Bye. Where's my outro?
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. I'm never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
No, no, no! You're not listening to this! No!
Never gonna tell a lie.
Fucking
and hurt
no!
you.
I'm not bloody... I'm not listening to this. I'm not.